this video, I want to talk to you about the hindrance known as aversion. Now, what is aversion? Aversion, right out of the gates, tells us that we have some sort of resistance to a certain type of instance, experience, or thing in our life. Now, aversion shows up in two main components. Outwardly, it shows up as anger, and inwardly, it shows up as fear, depression, guilt, or shame. What's important to note here about aversion is that it shifts, again, our focus away from the present moment, and it shifts us to some event or external occurrence that is a distraction. Now, why does this matter in our meditation practice? It matters simply because we're going to have an aversion to discomfort, to pain, to instances that don't feel nice and rosy, if you will. One of the things that shows up in our meditation practice is posture, the sort of pain that occurs when we sit for too long. What we need to understand here is that we should be mindful of these aversions so that when we get off of our cushion or off of, say, our yoga mat, how does this show up in our life externally, away from our meditation practice, in other words? Anger is one of those that does feel empowering from time to time when we express it. In fact, many psychologists or psychiatrists tell us to release it in as healthy a way as possible, beating up pillows or screaming out loud, releasing the emotion in a healthy or a safe environment. But one thing that we need to understand, at least when it comes to meditation practice, is that when we attach to anger, and even in some releases, we hang on to some of it because it makes us feel powerful. And I appreciate that's not everybody, but this is just a general statement about how anger tends to function in humans. When we attach to it, we tend to generate more of the same thing. This goes into things like law of attraction. Whatever we generate or we emit, we're going to get more of. And so what we need to understand about anger as an outward channel of our aversions, we're upset about something, we're resisting something, we're saying that's not what I want, okay? It's not what I want, which shows us that we're already making a judgment or a meaning, or we're assigning meaning to some event, thing, occurrence, or person. And from doing that, we are removing ourselves from the present moment. Again, it's always returning back to the present moment. Now, inwardly, these sorts of things, aversions, show up as fear, something that we're afraid of. We didn't like that painful experience. We didn't like that trauma, so we push it away. Or we didn't like how we felt when we did something that was shameful or guilt-ridden, or even something that causes us to lapse into some form of depression. Now, how is this relevant to our meditation practice? Well, when we sit down, if we have any of these aversions present within our mind, within our emotional body, then it's going to be a challenge to slip into the level of relaxation that we're trying to engage in. So we need to be mindful of these things. What are we angry about? Can we release that anger? Can we relax into that state of peace and tranquility and let the anger go? Can we do the same thing with fear? Can we ask questions about the validity of the fear? Is it something that we truly need to be afraid of? Or is it something that we can begin to release by returning to the breath and allowing ourselves to relax? Depression is one that I want to speak to just momentarily when it comes to aversion, because when we are depressed, the chances of us wanting to get up and get on our cushion and work on our meditation practice are going to be very slim. And I appreciate that many people suffer from depression in its many forms. But one of the things that our meditation practice can offer us is a respite from this, a place that we can go, an oasis that depression can't touch. Now, that is a difficult place to get to, particularly when you're in the throes of depression. But that's why incorporating a habit of practice is so vitally important, particularly to defeating this particular hindrance in our life. Now, I've included an additional resource here explaining a little bit more about my own theories and some other really well thought out theories from people much smarter and much more credible than myself in the end of this video lecture. And in the next one, we're going to be talking about sloth or sleepiness as the next hindrance. So I'll see you in the next clip.